This is Yankees baseball on My 9.
The storm clouds parted right before game time. Of course they did. He doubled off the left field wall on his first at bat. Of course he did. He gave his team the lead in the 7th. Of course he did. Then in the 9th. Well, the script is there. The last page is in Derek's hands. Meek deals. Base hit to right field. Here comes Richardson. Here's the throw from Marquez. Richardson is safe. Derek Jeter ends his final game with a walk-off single. Derek Jeter, where fantasy becomes reality. Did you have any doubt? Derek Jeter was clutch one more time. Of course he was. And this is the day after, a night in Boston. And it is time for baseball as My 9 presents New York Yankees baseball. It's the New York Yankees against the Boston Red Sox in the first of 3 from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball, along with Al Leiter and David Cohn. I'm Michael Kay. It could not have been much more perfect than last night. It seems like a bad script, but it was real. We lived it. We were there. It was an amazing finish to Derek Jeter's home career. He's not playing tonight, but he is planning to play on Saturday and Sunday as his career will wind down. But last night, David, I don't know how you top that.
Well, I don't know how you top it either. If you think about it, everybody was wondering, what's the script going to be? You know, remember Mariano Rivera from last year in that dramatic scene in the 8th inning when he got taken out by his former teammates. Derek Jeter, no script needed. Just the game provided everything you wanted. Derek Jeter even got excited. That probably took away some of the emotion for him because just the excitement of the hit, Al, was just remarkable. No script needed, as I said. Derek Jeter in the game was enough.
You know, David, Mike, I got a chance to sit in the stands as a fan and genuinely to really take it all in. And to watch what took place last night is something I'll certainly never forget. And mostly because watching my kids that were involved, the people sitting around me, what a moment.
It really was a moment. And there's a game tonight. As we mentioned, Derek is too exhausted mentally and physically to play in this game. But the pitching matchup brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Chris Capuano is going to get the start for the Yankees. And for the Red Sox, it's Stephen Wright with a 3.38 ERA. Derek Jeter's performance resonated around baseball, all sports as a matter of fact. The fallout, the reaction, all around baseball. Meredith Marakovitz has more when we return right here on My 9.
perfect end for Derek Jeter at Yankee Stadium. You really could not have written a better script. He walked off in that ninth inning with a game-winning hit, and it seemed as though everything went exactly as planned. It was an emotional night for fans and an emotional night for Derek Jeter.
These last few weeks have gotten tougher and tougher. I've told you members of the media I didn't want to talk about it because I try not to think about it. But it was very, very difficult, but it's all worthwhile. This is all I've ever wanted to do, and not too many people get an opportunity to do it. And it was above and beyond anything that I've ever dreamt of. The fans are chanting, "Thank you, Derek." And I'm thinking to myself, what are you thanking me for? I just try to do my job. Really, they're the ones that I want to thank. They're the ones that have made this special. Everyone says they dream about playing baseball, but it's a little bit different if you're playing in your backyard or you're playing in front of 40 or 50,000 Yankee fans that are as vocal, energetic, and animated like they've been for 20 years.
Derek Jeter is not in the lineup tonight. Joe Girardi saying he's probably a little bit emotionally and physically drained from last night, but he did say he expects him to play at some point in time during this weekend series. Plenty more to come here on My 9. Michael Kay, Al Leiter, and David Cohn coming up next with Lineups First Pitch Baseball right here on My 9.
Is brought to you in part by Toyota. Toyota is the official hybrid vehicle of the New York Yankees. By your Tri-State Ford dealers and by your Tri-State Kia retailers. To learn more, visit TriStateKiaDealers.com. It seems like a summer evening here in New England. A beautiful, beautiful night at Fenway Park. Tonight, the Yankees against the Red Sox. And when you looked at this series at the beginning of the year, you dreamt big things. The World Series defending champion Red Sox against a Yankee team that had made great improvements. But look at the standings. The Yankees are in second place. The Red Sox are firmly ensconced in last place. And when we give you the Yankee lineup, you will not recognize most of the players. That's for sure. So this is not the series that you dreamed about when you took a look at the schedule before the season. We'll check out the Yankees lineup, which is brought to you by Hyundai. Looking for a brand that gives you more? Hyundai can. Visit buyhyundai.com. Leading off for the Yankees and playing second base, Jose Perella. Yuri Perez in center field will bat second. Hitting third, playing first base, Francisco Cervelli. Chris Young's in left field. He'll clean up. the number 5 hitter. Catcher John Ryan Murphy. Austin Romine will DH. He's going to bat 6th. Batting 7th, playing shortstop Brendan Ryan. Zealous Wheeler, the 3rd baseman, will bat 8th, and batting 9th and playing right field, Antoine Richardson.
On the mound for the Red Sox, Stephen Wright, a 30-year-old right-hander. It'll be his first appearance in his career against the Yankees. There you see his numbers, the 5 games, 3.38 ERA.
Let's take a look now at the Boston Red Sox pitcher scouting report, brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Well, Michael, he's a knuckleballer. There's only one other knuckleballer in baseball. That's R.A. Dickey with the Toronto Blue Jays. He'll throw it about 90% of the time and changes speeds on it. Hawaii first. He went to the University of Hawaii, led them to their first NCAA regional playoff since 1993. This guy was a stud pitcher out of college, and once heralded, and I just wanted to say, not as funny as the other Stephen Wright, Michael. Remember the comedian?
Yes, he's very funny.
So, yeah. That's my scatter report.
That was a funny scatter report,
yeah.
though. So Wright is getting ready, and, we'll take a look at the Red Sox defense behind him. And you might not recognize some of these names as well. Bryce Brentz is in left field. Rusney Castillo in center. Alan Craig over right. Cicchini is the 3rd baseman. Bogarts at short. Betts the 2nd baseman. And Ryan Lavarnway is the 1st baseman. Dan Butler behind the plate. And as Al told you, Stephen Wright is on the mound. Boy, talk about anticlimactic. Now, obviously, we want you to watch the game. Something interesting could happen. But in a perfect world, Derek Jeter's hit yesterday. That was the final play of the season. But Derek said he's going to play tomorrow, and he's going to play on Sunday as the DH. But there's a possibility that maybe he could play today. But you wonder what's going through his mind after what was a perfect ending to his Yankee Stadium career. Perella is ready. Stephen Wright is ready. And let's do it here at Fenway. First pitch is low and outside, and we're underway.
Yeah, Michael, if I'm Derek Jeter, I got no sleep last night. I mean, you can stay up all night after that kind of game. So understandable that he gets a little rest tonight.
Now, he said, I don't know if I could physically play today. If I had to, I don't know if I could physically start this game. And I think the whole homestand really wore on him. And obviously he knew what was going to happen, but the scrutiny and the obligations and things like that, it wore him down. It really did. And it culminated in one of the great moments in Yankee history.
Well, I think you said it, Michael. I think because of the way Derek cares and also knows where he stands.
Chopped to short, Bogarts, and gets Perella.
In the history of baseball and the legendary figure that he is and how iconic he's played, he had to kind of represent that and not be just the player going out in between the lines.
Tonight's closed captioning is brought to you by your local Lexus dealer. I'm glad that he said he's going to play tomorrow and Sunday, because I think it serves his legacy well and what he's about, what he's always brought to the game. If he completely bagged these 3 games, I don't think it would have represented what Derek Jeter has always been about. And I think he realized that as well, and I think he's making a concession to how important Yankee Stadium is by not playing shortstop here, but also making a concession to fans and, as he said yesterday, respect to the rivalry that he is going to play in the series.
Well, it's not 1957 anymore. I mean, with the media attention and all the outlets and, what people pay to come and watch, there's a responsibility to that aspect of Major League Baseball and part of being a star.
It's a great point, Al. I know, Michael, you pointed out that Ted Williams didn't even make the last trip to New York. And when his final at-bat, the home run here at Fenway Park, never even made the trip, didn't show up.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, would that fly today?
No way.
No way.
And you're right. Your point is well taken. That Derek is accountable and he understands that.
And also, Ted Williams, a bit of a rebel, pretty much called his own shots. Who was going to tell him you have to be there? Yuri Perez has worked the count to 3-2. Yankees got him from the Nationals. His first at bat as a Yankee. He has appeared in the field for them. And Wright deals. Had a base hit for Yuri Perez. New York Yankees baseball is broadcast in Spanish. It's available by hitting the SAP button on your television. SAP is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Here's Francisco Cervelli.
One of 5 catchers in the game today. I wonder if that's a record. Austin Romine is DH. John Ryan Murphy, who's a catcher. And on the other side, Ryan Lavarnway and the catcher Dan Butler.
Way outside.
Pretty solid year from Cervelli overall, aside from the injuries that he suffered in the hamstring earlier in the year and concussions and migraines. The question now with Cervelli is, is he an everyday type guy? You know, a lot of other clubs have looked at the Yankees catching surplus, and if there's a potential trade in the offseason to be made, Cervelli's name's going to come up a lot. Can he be an everyday catcher somewhere else? Or will he stay the backup here? And obviously, John Ryan Murphy has something to do with that, along with Romine as well.
And on the way up, Gary Sanchez. So they certainly are not short on catchers.
Well, I think, we were talking about it before the game, David, about these next 3 games as we see the lineup that the Yankees are putting out, and also the Red Sox. This is usually a time for the front office and big league scouts to see, what to do with certain guys. Either they're soon to be free agents, you keep them on the roster, or they trade bait. So while it looks like a meaningless game, and certainly obviously the Yankees being out of it, it matters, of course.
Runner goes. Fouled away. Now Cervelli is arbitration eligible. Cannot be a free agent until 2017. Now you're arbitration eligible just by virtue of the number of years that you're in the league. He's going to be paid a decent salary. And usually you really don't want your backup catcher to make that much money. So he'd be a prime candidate to be traded. And the Yankees really high on John Ryan Murphy. And he could slide in and be the backup catcher for a lot less money. So economics play a role. Almost got him. Vic Carapazza sits safe.
Looked like Yuri Perez was definitely leaning.
One of the big differences, as you see how close that was, between a right-handed first baseman and a lefty. The right-handed first baseman with the glove on the left's got to reach out and get the ball and sweep the tag back. Left-handed first baseman could wait for the ball to get there, drop the tag straight down. So hence why you see more left-handed first basemen.
Strike 3. Cervelli down looking, does not like the call, and tells Paul Nauert as much. The home plate up.
With the knuckleball, David. But let's see where it passes through the hitting zone, not where he catches it. Dan Butler, the catcher for the Red Sox, definitely caught it off the plate, but it had a lot of movement.
Well, that was never a strike the whole way. Cervelli's got a legitimate beef.
Here's Chris Young.
It's kind of interesting, Michael. You know, we've talked about it. Stephen Wright here, the knuckleballer, learned it, trying to revive his career, and how hard it is to learn how to throw a knuckleball. And you get that question all the time, Al. Why don't more guys try it in the minor leagues? Why doesn't a righty or a lefty try to revive his career? Because it's just so hard to throw it effectively in the strike zone. It's easy to throw it on the side, make it move, and yeah, we've all played with a lot of catchers or a lot of pitchers who have great knuckleballs in practice. But on the mound with a batter in the box, to be able to throw it effectively and get it over enough, it's so difficult. One of the hardest things to do.
I couldn't do it. Do you mess around with it? I don't know you threw a forkball, but
we all tried. I don't know of anybody who hasn't tried, you know, to throw a knuckleball one time or another, at least messing around with it. It's just so unpredictable. It's movement. No two do the same thing. It's very hard to negotiate a knuckleball not knowing what it's going to do. So you almost have to aim for a spot, say above the catcher's mask, and start it there, and then hope you get the good movement late, and you hope it gets in the strike zone.
Runner goes. Throw to second. Stolen base for Yuri Perez.
good take by Chris Young. Good speed by Yuri Perez. Watch here to jump. A great jump. Good pitch to run on. A little slow knuckleball. Thought a good trick. Good throw by Dan Butler. Just beat it. Little athleticism, Yuri Perez.
Came off the back, too. Very close.
Chop foul. And a walk issued to Chris Young, and that's going to bring up John Ryan Murphy.
Nice job Chris Young has done. Because the Yankees picked him up, did a good job. He'd be a free agent, probably be moving on somewhere, but certainly played himself into legitimately having big league scouts to look at him and saying, yes, this guy could play for us. You know, talking about the backup catcher situation, David. For me, it was the backup catcher was all about a catch and throw guy, and if they hit, that was just pure bonus. Playing maybe twice a week. I mean, just that in itself, trying to get in any kind of rhythm, playing a couple days a week is really tough to get in any kind of rhythm to hit.
And actually, you know, John Ryan Murphy showed that he could do that this year when he was up. When Cervelli was on the DL, he really handled that spot very well. Once a week, or limited duty.
And as for catching, Gary Tuck, the Yankee bullpen and catching coach, raves about John Ryan Murphy. He said he's one of the best defensive catchers he's ever seen. He's been in the big leagues a long time and was a bullpen coach previously with the Yankees and with the Red Sox. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Ball goes to the backstop. Throw to first. And they get Murphy to end the inning. For the Yankees, no runs a hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. Yankees nothing, and the Red Sox coming back. BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. Mookie Betts is at second base. He's going to lead off, batting second and playing shortstop is Xander Bogaerts. Yoenis Cespedes, the DH, will hit third. In right field, it's Alan Craig cleaning up. Garen Caccini, he is going to be the third baseman. He'll bat fifth. Playing center field and batting sixth, Rusney Castillo. Bryce Brentz is the left fielder. He'll bat seventh. Batting eighth and playing first base, Ryan LeBarnway. Dan Butler is going to catch. He'll bat ninth.
Well, the 36-year-old left-hander, Chris Capuano, will be making his 12th start on the year. See his numbers. This will be his 40th appearances. All those other appearances came out of the bullpen with these Boston Red Sox here in Fenway Park. Let's take a look at the pitcher scout report,
which is brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers.
All righty. So he wanted to be an astronaut, Michael. He grew up a Patriots fan because he's from up here in New England, and his third grade teacher thought he was the nicest kid.
Did you have your son Jack do these scouting reports or what? It sounds like a book report.
Yeah, no, he's a really nice guy, and his third grade teacher specifically thought he was the nicest kid.
Really? What did your third grade teacher think of you?
I was very chatty.
Anyway, Capuano is ready.
It's good. I got kicked out of third grade for cursing.
You were not the nicest kid.
No. The mouth on that boy.
What do you want to hear? His reverse splits or his good changeup? And he needs to stay aggressive. Which one do you want?
Hey, Al, whatever you felt comfortable with, that's what you should have done.
Good.
He should wanted to be an astronaut.
He did. Mm-hmm. Smart. Duke University guy.
Here's Mookie Betts. They're going to have to find a spot for Mookie Betts. He kind of displaced Jackie Bradley Jr. in center field. And then Rusney Castillo was signed, and they kind of project him as the center fielder. He's also a very good second baseman, but they have Dustin Pedroia signed there. So where do they get Betts into the lineup? That's what they have to decide.
Well, I think the broad stroke, obviously Dustin Pedroia is not going anywhere, is that you can figure out a way to trade one of those outfielders. They love this kid. You talk about every aspect of the game. Talking to John Farrell before the game, could not rave enough about Mookie Betts.
Line to center field, and it is caught by a diving Perez. One away, took a base hit away from Betts.
Wow. Watched Perez. Good running ability, had a stolen base at the top of the inning, and this is a nice play. All on the first step. If you watch here, line drive, sinking line drive, immediately gets on his horse. Aggressively making a nice play.
A nice first impression.
Really?
Obviously, the Yankees picked him up on waivers from the Nationals, and so they, not as if they have a lot of information on him or saw him play in Scranton. Good way to make the most of this opportunity.
There's Xander Bogaerts. Red Sox have kind of gone back and forth on Bogaerts. They love him. Remember, he played well in their World Series run last year, and they did not re-sign Stephen Drew, gave him the shortstop job, and he played well. He didn't play well, and because of that, they went back to Stephen Drew. And then they moved Bogaerts over to third. Drew didn't hit. Bogaerts didn't play well at third. They traded Drew to the Yankees. Bogaerts back at shortstop. They give him Middlebrooks another try at third, and they've got to see exactly what they have here, but they think Bogaerts could be a star, especially the way he played in the postseason last year.
Well, not that he was exposed, Michael, but every young player, eventually you find the weakness, and it has been primarily off speed, especially changeup from the left-handed pitcher, anything that expands the zone. But with that said, no, they see this guy as a future star. And I know he's only batting .238. He does have some good home run power. I think it's the growing pain of dealing with a young, talented hitter and having him figure it out.
I think that the fact that Capuano gets this start here tonight, Al, tells you what the Yankees think about him, because this could have easily gone to one of their young pitchers sitting out there in the bullpen. Capuano, a 10-year veteran, in a meaningless game, still gets the ball tonight.
Popped up. And Pirela makes the play for the second out. Let's check out the Yankees defense behind Capuano. In the outfield, it's Young, Perez, and Richardson. That's left to right. In the infield, it's Wheeler, Ryan, you just saw Pirela, and Cervelli. Third to first, John Ryan Murphy behind the plate, and Capuano's on the mound. Here is Yoenis Cespedes, the centerpiece of the deal that sent John Lester to Oakland. And who knew that taking Cespedes out of the A's lineup would have more of a negative effect than adding Lester into their rotation would have a positive effect. The A's barely hanging on for one of the wild card spots. The trade was made on July 31st. The Red Sox were not going to sign Lester, so they sent Lester and Johnny Gomes to Yoenis Cespedes, or for Yoenis Cespedes, and also a compensation draft pick, which is allowed to be traded. Count 1-1.
Well, it was actually pretty unprecedented. And I know, star for star, but a team that was running away with it, and you traded your number 4 hitter, middle of the lineup, thump, albeit for a great front-end starting pitcher.
Well, the deal becomes an absolute grand slam for the Red Sox if they re-sign Lester, because the A's made that trade knowing they cannot compete to sign Lester. And the A's knew they only had a year left with Cespedes, and they wouldn't have been able to sign him either. That's just the way they do business. But you just get different opinions from people around the Red Sox whether or not they will make a run for Lester, because he's going to get a lot of money. The 1-2. That one's hammered to left field. It'll be off the green monster. Played out there by Young. Here comes Cespedes for 2, and he makes it. That's a hustle double for Cespedes.
There is zero hesitation by Yoenis Cespedes off the bat. And you have to here with the green monster. This ball is hit hard. That ball gets out to the fence quickly, and I thought Chris Young did a nice job. Watch here, curveball down and in, line shot, rocket off the wall. 1-2, little dribble, and Young makes a strong throw a little bit inside the line, but right out of the batter's box. Here you go, Cespedes staying back. Curveball down the zone, and he's saying this is a double right out of the chute.
Yeah, never hesitating. That's how you got to do it here at Fenway. He kind of turns it on there, kind of made his mind up right around first base. A good throw on the bag would have made it interesting, but nonetheless, Cespedes, a hustle double.
Now the Yankees challenged the call. The umpires are taking a look at it right now. I guess they thought Cespedes came off the bag. And
ooh, there was a little space between.
Let's see. Right there, he's off the bag. And the glove is on the hip.
Wow.
Great replay, guys. So let's see if they have that replay at BAM. Right there, he's out. And he is. The umpires say, we're overturning it. So Cespedes with the overslide. And a good tag by Pirela to keep the tag right on the hip. And that'll do it for the Red Sox in the first. No runs a hit. No errors and nobody left. We go to the second. 0-0. By Time Warner Cable, TV, internet, and phone from Time Warner Cable, 1-855-WANT-TWC. Now, this is the first year of replay for the vast amount of plays now, other than fair or foul on a home run call. And Al, you don't seem to like it that much, or you're not sure how you feel about it.
Well, you know what, Michael? I think my broad stroke says, yeah, let's get it right. We have the technology out there, and the Don Denkinger calls of the history of baseball should never happen again. But there's an element to the emotion of the excitement that's spontaneous, that you get fired up and you fist bump because your left fielder just caught a ball at the wall and he threw it in. He's safer out, and then all of a sudden now it's changed. Or in this case they're waiting and then they get to run off the field. So, yeah, I think there's an element of emotion. I know that is no longer part of the game because of instant replay. But I'm short of saying that it's a bad thing. I'm not. I think that we need to have something in place to get it right.
So are you willing to rob Peter to pay Paul? That one's grounded to short. Romine is out.
I think there's, the days of John McEnroe yelling at the umpire in a tennis match is over. That was kind of fun. Forget about the Billy Martin or Lou Piniella days or any manager running out. That's gone. And I'm just saying, you're a closer on the mound. Your team is up 2-1. There's a runner at second base. You throw a base hit to right field. There's 2 outs, and he tags him out at home. And you're cheering. You're running off the field. You win the game. And then they say, no, timeout. No, he's safe. We looked at it. And now,
yeah, but you still have that emotion when the call's got right. So I mean, you'd rather have the call wrong and have fake emotion?
No, I'm riding the fence. I'm just saying, how many emotional moments have we seen that were really passionate?
I think there's passion when the call is made right. If there's a play and the call's made right, I mean, maybe the umpires just have to be better and not have their calls overturned.
Although it has been good. I mean, the percentage of overturned calls is far less than them being correct.
David, tiebreaker?
It's good for the economy, creating more jobs. A lot of guys have more jobs on major league clubs now. Umpires are getting hired more. I mean, certainly.
The guy who holds the headset?
It's a job creator. But you're right, Al, there are the quirky calls that we didn't anticipate. In the first year, we're going through a lot of ups and downs and blips and how this thing is being handled. And I think overall we've done a great job and get the call right. But just what we just saw at the end of the inning is guys coming off the bag that you never thought of before. And now you're coaching in a different way. You're coaching to make sure these middle infielders keep the glove on the tag, keep the tag down in case that happens, what we just saw with Cespedes. A lot of unforeseen little quirky calls have come to the forefront.
Well, you know what I don't like about it? This is how I would change it. I don't like the umpires having to wait there as the manager strolls out and the video coordinator looks at it's too much, and you want to speed up the game. That's awful. The umpire made the call in real time. You make the challenge in real time. If you think he got it wrong, challenge right away. You can't walk out there and wait to have them look at 3, 4, 5 different replays. You think they're wrong, your fielder says they're wrong, have them just challenge right away.
I agree with
Eliminate
that.
the walk.
I mean, there has to be some refinement on how this is handled, and because the walk of the manager has gotten a little redundant this year. Watching every manager walk out and the slow walk to the umpire and the peek over his shoulder back to the dugout has become bothersome to watch.
So a walk of Brendan Ryan by Stephen Wright. Now, speaking of walking, it's the #1 show on television. Starting Wednesday, The Walking Dead is coming to My 9. Join the group of post-apocalyptic survivors as they try to stay one step ahead of the walkers in a struggle to rebuild their lives. Back-to-back episodes of The Walking Dead, Wednesday night starting at 8 here on My 9. And there's a strike to Zealous Wheeler. Wheeler got out of the gates quickly. Remember that great moment in Minnesota when he got his first big league hit, home run, but truncated playing time. He's 0 for his last 13. His average down to 2.04. Grounded and grabbed there by Cicchini. Throws across the diamond, and a nice scoop by Lavarnway to get Wheeler.
Wow. Garen Cicchini. Remember that name. He may be the starting third baseman for the Red Sox. Hot smash. Picks it up from his knees. Nice play all the way around. Ryan Lavarnway is a natural catcher. Good play.
Here's Antoine Richardson, and in 20 years you're at a party and somebody asks you a trivia question. You have to give them a trivia question. You're going to say, who scored on Derek Jeter's walk-off hit in his final game at Yankee Stadium? And the answer will be Antoine Richardson. That would be an unbelievable party. Sitting there, trivia questions.
20 years.
He was the right base runner at the right time, because that was not a given that runner was going to score. Markakis got off a good throw, although it short-hopped home plate a little bit. But Richardson's speed was a big factor in Derek Jeter's memorable night.
High fly ball left field, backing up Brents. And on the track, he'll make the play for the final out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one man left. We go to the bottom of the second. We wait for Meredith Maragovitz. Her notebook spilleth over. She's got stuff to tell us next. on our sister station, Fox 5. This is the final series of the season and your last chance to see Jeter in action, so don't miss a pitch. Yankees-Red Sox pregame coverage starts tomorrow at 12:30 on Fox 5. All right, we go to the bottom of the second inning, and Alan Craig will lead it off. And he rips one to left field. A base hit, and then off the glove of Young, trickles behind him. Craig is going for second. He'll make it on a single and an E7. Now let's bring in Meredith Marakovitz. And Meredith, obviously, first of all, you did a great job on the on-field interview with Derek Jeter yesterday, just exceptional. And then in the clubhouse afterward and today, what's the vibe today, the day after?
Michael, obviously a lot of excitement, some disbelief in a sense. You knew Derek Jeter was up third in that ninth inning, and you knew the stage was being set for him to have one of those moments. But for it to actually happen and to witness it, I think a lot of the guys in that clubhouse were kind of in awe. And I think CC Sabathia summed it up the best, saying Derek Jeter's life has been like a movie. In fact, if I were in a movie theater watching that movie, I probably would have walked out with the ending thinking, this isn't possible, this couldn't possibly be true.
Fly ball, center field. Perez makes the play for the first out. And you know what? A lot of people have asked me this. Derek Jeter, when he gets the hit and is celebrating, there's somebody bear hugs him. That was CC.
That was CC Sabathia.
I guess his knee is okay.
Yes, his knee is okay. He's been throwing in the outfield at Yankee Stadium, saying another week or two till he gets on the mound and actually throws a bullpen. But he was one of the first ones out there to greet Derek Jeter, and then after that, later on, him and Brett Gardner actually went up to Jeter and gave him his first Gatorade bath. And as he was walking over, Derek Jeter kind of saw him, and CC said to him, "Oh, this is happening." So he knew it was happening, and Derek obviously enjoyed that in his final game. But those two are pretty close friends.
Now, lost in all of that, and we'll take a look at the bear hug that we're talking about. There's CC, and that is a bear hug. And you never see Derek celebrate that much. He doesn't really show his emotions, but boy, you can't help but being absolutely elated, and you can see that on Derek's face. Elation, exhaustion, and just relief as Castillo swings and misses. Lost in the great finish was the fact that after he gave up the 2 home runs, Hiroki Kuroda really pitched a beautiful ball game and lost the win when David Robertson gave up those 2 home runs in the ninth.
Michael Kuroda really settled in that one, gave them 8 innings, struck out 9 in the process. And Hiroki Kuroda is a free agent after this year. You don't really know what's going to happen to him, if he's going to decide he wants to play again, if the Yankees would be interested, if he does want to play again. But Joe Girardi actually wanted to have a moment for Hiroki Kuroda, what he's meant to this team, not only this year, but past seasons, that the fans could give him one last ovation. So he approached Kuroda after the 8th inning, heading into the 9th, and said to him, "Why don't you just walk out to the line by the first base side? Don't cross it, because if he were to cross it, he'd have to face a batter. But walk out there, I'll come out and get you, and the fans will applaud, and that will be your moment." And Kuroda said he was definitely appreciative of the gesture by Joe Girardi, but he said it was Derek Jeter's night. He didn't want to do anything to take away from it, and that's just the kind of guy he is. He wanted to make sure that Derek Jeter had that stage.
Now, that is impressive that he decided to eschew that gesture by Joe Girardi. I wonder how David Robertson felt, because that was, in essence, Meredith, the greatest blown save in the history of baseball.
Well, Joe Girardi was asked whether or not he had talked to Robertson yet, and he said, "No, I had not, but he did a great job last night." And you don't often hear that when a guy blows a save on the mound. And Robertson kind of echoed that in the clubhouse last night and saying, "Look, I wanted to go out there and put up zeros and get out of the inning quick, but the way that happened and the way it set it up, I can't be upset about that. It was just a perfect ending for Derek Jeter. He doesn't blow that save. Derek Jeter never gets to the plate in the 9th inning, and you never have that moment." And Derek Jeter actually said today, if that didn't happen, he probably would have lost it on the field. He said he started to feel it coming, going into that 9th inning again, knowing that this could be it, and he felt like he was about to lose it. But when he got up to the plate, he was more excited than sad. I think there was a point in time where he was sad and the emotions were really starting to come out, but when he got the hit, they won the game, it turned to joy instead of some of the sadness he was feeling earlier.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Meredith, but I believe that David Robertson was also involved in another magical Jeter moment the day he got the 3,000th hit, the 5 hits. Robertson blew the save in the top of the 8th, and that allowed Derek Jeter to get his 5th and game-winning hit in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Michael, it's funny you bring that up. Another guy that brought that up was Mariano Rivera on the field. He actually walked up to David Robertson, put his hand on his shoulder, and said, "Wow, you're the best setup man around." So that was kind of a great moment between the two of them. And Robertson obviously feels bad about not being able to go out there and get it done. But the way that it's worked out, how can you feel bad about that? It's really created some moments that Yankees fans are going to remember for a long, long time.
Here's Bryce Brent, 2 outs, runner at third base, no score. Yankees and the Red Sox. And Chris Capuano will work from the set. And the pitch. Anything else, Meredith, that you're just burning to tell us?
Oh, I can't wait to tell you so much stuff, Michael, but there's only 1 out left in this inning, so I'll leave it with this. Masahiro Tanaka scheduled to go on Sunday. A lot of people saying, well, both teams are out of the playoffs. What is there to be excited about? Derek Jeter already had that moment at Yankee Stadium, but there are still a lot of people that want to watch Masahiro Tanaka throw. Joe Girardi saying he'll go about 80 to 85 pitches in that one.
That one is lined to left field. A base hit for Brent. Scoring is Craig, and the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead.
Bryce Brent's getting a changeup hanger, middle, cuts a little bit, puts a good pass at it. Line drive. Red Sox up 1-0.
Meredith, you have one more bit of information?
Yes, and the funny thing about Tanaka is he was asked about that Derek Jeter a moment, and he summed it up with one word, huge smile on his face. He just said, "It is unbelievable." So something that he really enjoyed, and he said going out there for a second time, and that start will be Saturday, I want to correct myself, going out there a second time, he'll have a little bit more confidence going into this offseason. After this, that'll be it. They'll shut him down. It'll be a typical offseason, but he'll feel confident in the way he's able to train. He'll treat it like a typical offseason, just knowing that he's been able to go out there twice, pitch with a lot of with a lot of emotions on the mound and go 100%, something in those simulated games he really couldn't do, and then bounce back from it thereafter. That's kind of going to put him at peace of mind a little bit.
All right, thank you, Meredith. That's Meredith Marakovitz as Ryan Lavarnway takes a strike count 1-1. There's so much talk about Derek losing it yesterday, and he talked about almost crying when he drove to the ballpark, almost crying when the team presented him with a piece of artwork, and almost crying on the field. He didn't cry though, and he's a rock. He just didn't cry. And I talked to Cal Ripken Jr. yesterday, and he said he'll cry, especially when he sees his mom. Hugged his mom, didn't cry. Again, you could see he was emotional, David. You were a teammate of his, but he didn't cry.
He did not. I mean, although we saw a different side of Derek, though, really the whole game, the jitters, the nervousness. He did talk about in between innings going down in the tunnel, kind of hiding his emotions. So we didn't see behind the scenes or right after that whether he cried once he got down in the tunnel. But he did talk about that, the emotions that he showed down in the tunnel in between innings, keeping it together. A very distracting night for him. He talked about giving signs to Stephen Drew at second base with no runners on base, being confused, a little disoriented. But it was clearly a different side of Derek Jeter. For 20 years, we saw a rock, and then the first time in 20 years we saw emotion, true, real feelings and emotion pouring out of Derek Jeter.
I think it's pretty amazing. Again, I was sitting in the stands. I know you were in there as well, David. Michael, you doing the game, but all of that for him, and the ebb and flow of that. How do you not break down? I was getting a little weepy.
2-2. Swing and a miss as Lavarnway down on strikes. No runs, a hit. Check that, 2 hits, 1 error, 1 man left. Derek Jeter last night saying goodbye to the fans, saying goodbye to Yankee Stadium. We go to the third. Which was Derek Jeter's funniest on-screen acting appearance? Was it in A, the movie Anger Management, B, The Other Guys, Saturday Night Live when he hosted, David was a part of that, or Seinfeld? Text A, B, C, or D to 70377 or go to my9nj.com. Find out the results later in the game wrap-up. It's What's Your Take, brought to you by Jeep. Derek hosting Saturday Night Live actually got David Cohn and David Wells to dress up as women.
Yes, we did. Groupies.
Yeah.
We played it well. Derek Jeter, to me, there's no doubt about that one. I mean, Saturday Night Live, Jeter, you devote a whole week to go in and rehearse. I mean, guest hosting Saturday Night Live is one of the most difficult acting jobs any actor could have. The stress, the spontaneity, the fact that you have to rehearse every day for a week leading up to a live show is just incredible.
Crowd here at Fenway Park starting a Derek Jeter chant.
Did they get paid for that?
Al, I'm not sure if they get paid for Saturday Night Live, but it's not about the money.
No, I know it's not. I'm just curious. As you say that,
You have to get paid to be.
No, but what's it, like scale or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think they're feathering their nest. I think Derek made more with the Yankees that year than he.
I know it's not about the money. I'm just curious.
He's a member of the SAG now,
Yeah,
right?
he's
He's got to pay
SAG,
dues,
okay.
yeah.
Derek's actually going to be on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon on October 2nd, so I believe that's Thursday of next week. As Perella swings and misses.
Holy cow.
Wow, you look great, David.
Look at those gams.
No kidding.
This was a scene where Derek, it was about the players' wives. Derek was playing one of the players' wives, and they were in the players' wives section, supposedly at Yankee Stadium. And Boomer and I come in as groupies trying to make fun of all the player wives and get on Jeter, and we end up getting in a cat fight. See, the problem is they couldn't find anything to fit Boomer, so they found that schmata to throw over him. I still have that miniskirt.
The schmata?
I really think the Boomer's goatee makes the whole outfit. Didn't Derek in that scene play Mrs. Alfonso Soriano, supposedly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we know what you're voting for, David. It's got to be that one.
That was a classic scene.
Yuri Perez swings and misses. Al, you actually you made an appearance at a Saturday Night Live after party. David and I were with you. That was
fun.
That was very fun.
Yeah. Saturday Night Live's a good show.
40th anniversary.
That's right.
Tomorrow.
Coming up.
Tomorrow, I believe, is it tomorrow? I know the first episode of this year is the 40th anniversary.
Legendary show, legendary theater. Fantastic to go and watch it live. Been very lucky. Lorne Michaels, a Yankee fan, has been very good to the Yankees over the years, and including Derek Jeter hosting that week. The question is Derek going to open up a Jeter's Taco Hole?
That's
you
right.
remember one of the scenes in there?
He sang in that, too.
He had a restaurant that he opened up down in Jersey. Derek Jeter's Taco Hole.
Perez fouls it back to count 3-2. We're in the top of the third inning. It's 1-0. Red Sox lead the Yankees. Jack Curry just texted me and said that Justin Timberlake has been quoted as saying that he gets paid $5,000 to host.
Oh, thank you, Jack.
And Timberlake, I believe, has hosted 5 times. So that's $25K. Did that math fast.
What did you do? Feather your nest? What did you say?
Feather your nest.
Feather your nest.
3-2. Strike 3, but the ball gets away. Perez hustling to first, he'll make it. And that's the perils of a knuckleballer. Dan Butler could not hold on to strike 3.
Oh, here it is. Now, you see the catcher's mitt. It's much larger than a regular catcher's mitt. And that ball is just dancing, as David was saying earlier in the game. That ball is very unpredictable. You got to kind of get wide base as a catcher and just assume nothing.
That ball was right down the middle. That was a strike.
Yeah.
And he almost missed it. He barely got leather on it.
Here's Cervelli, but first a throw to first.
No, I think we're seeing the Yankees lineup here, and you're seeing a couple of guys that were on the waiver wire, Young, and of course on first base here. You're seeing guys with speed, and that's kind of coming back in vogue. We've seen the batting averages drop over the last 10 years in the American League and National League for that matter. I think you're just going to see a different brand of baseball come back into vogue. In 2006, Michael, the American League average batting average was 275. Every year it's dropped to this year in 2014. The average batting average is 253. As you see this knuckleball down and gets away as well. And I guess you call that a pass ball because it didn't hit the dirt. But really tough catching this knuckleballer. But anyway, to make the point, from 275, the American League batting average on average, down to 253 this year. So you talk about the Yankees' offensive woes this year. It's not just the Yankees. Everybody's complaining about, well, we need to score. Yep. Kansas City Royals are complaining about it right now. And they're going to be in the playoffs probably. Oakland, we keep talking about Cespedes and that trade, and it's really more than that. It runs deeper than that. Across the league, people are starved for offense and sluggers.
We asked Bud Selig about that when he was in the booth with us in the last homestand. I said, is that good for baseball? The offense going away. And he says, well, it's kind of cyclical. He says, I'm sure it'll come back around. He said, you'd like to see a little more offense. He said, but there's nothing that you do about it. I mean, one of the things you could do is illegal defense, if you so chose to do.
You like that?
I think it should be explored. I think that if you're smart enough to come up with defense to take hits away, you should be rewarded. But I don't think fans want to see a lot of ground balls to short right field. That one is drilled to left field. That's going to be off the wall. It will also score Perez as Cervelli stops at first with an RBI single. It's a 1-1 game.
The sound of a line drive off the green monster. Cervelli drills it. And that'll be about the 27,000 dent on that wall. If you go out there and look at the green monster, there's so many dents from line drives like that over the years. And Cervelli just adds one to the list. It's a very distinctive sound, Al. If you're on the mound, I hated that sound.
Line drive off the wall for a single.
Yes.
This is the only place. You mentioned about Kansas City and the offensive numbers down. They're going to be the first team in a long time. I think you got to go back to like the 40s. It'll be a playoff team with less than 100 team home runs. They have 94 home runs. But second in batting average in the American League behind Detroit. And I'm with you, David. I think that the offense has to get more creative. It has to be more athletic. The small ball, situational hitting, whatever you want to call it. It's not all about backlegging 3-run homer anymore. With the strict testing and the PED and amphetamines out of the game and all of that. We'll start with that and then get to specialized scouting and specialty relievers and seeing more guys throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour than I ever remember.
Turn him loose on 3-0 and Young fouls it off.
Michael, I think there is some truth into offense and pitching being somewhat cyclical over the history of baseball, and I think there will be adjustments made. The shifts will be adjusted to. Teams will start hitting the ball the other way in certain situations. We've seen Brian McCann do it on this team to very effectively, especially later in the year.
Nelson Cruz did it at least 3 times against the Yankees. And this is a guy with 40 home runs. So you could have a power hitter who could be smart about it and pick his spots.
Especially depending on the situation of the game. Later in the game, 1 run down, nobody or 1 out. You need base runners. There just has to be adjustments made. Now, if you are getting all the home runs, then you could justify maybe the strikeouts. Maybe all the strikeouts. You know, the modern day hitter of the multiple strikeouts and maybe some homers.
There's a base hit to left field. Young singles, moving Cervelli to second.
But if you're not getting the homers, then you can't justify the strikeouts. So putting the ball in play, speed, running the bases efficiently, defense definitely is going to become more and more in vogue. You can tell right here by the Yankees lineup and who they plucked off the waiver wire to play in their outfield for this game.
Juan Nieves goes out and talks with the entire infield.
You know, as you're speaking, David, I keep going back to thinking about the Rays. Tampa Bay Rays in the last since 08, there's only been one other organization that's had more big league wins, and it's the New York Yankees. You look at their payroll and what they're all about is defense and pitching and having versatile athletes that can play in multiple positions and do the little things. How many times have we watched highlights of Joe Madden safety squeeze to win games? Forget about pushing runs.
Here's John Ryan Murphy, runners on first and second with 1 out. Soft ground ball is short. There's one. On to first. Throw is wide. And that will allow Cervelli to score the go-ahead run.
A little slow roller right here. Xander Bogaerts. Nice pivot here. I don't know. Let's see what Mookie Betts. Oh, he got taken out. That was the forced hook throw that Mookie Betts ended up making the throw wild. Thanks to Chris Young being aggressive here. Watch here. Late slide, clean slide. Breaking up a double play. Tack on a run for the Yankees. Watch here. You see him coming down hard. Nice shovel pass, maybe a little low, and then just yanked it.
Well, Mookie Betts back at second base.
And they'll try it again, this time on the force, and that will do it. But the Yankees take the lead with 2 runs on 2 hits. A throwing error allowed the go-ahead run to score. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. 2-1 Yanks. in part by ShopRite. We're all about food. We're all about savings. We're all about you. September 26th of last year was all about Mo. Andy Pettitte made the signal. Derek Jeter told him it's time to go. And Mo lost it. A raw show of emotion by Mariano and everybody involved. He could not hold in his emotions last year. And that will be a moment that will be remembered forever in Yankee history. As we go to the bottom of the third, Yankees lead 2-1. And Dan Butler takes a strike.
You know, that's a good point, Michael, because that was scripted. Obviously, they knew what was going to happen. They're going to take Mo out of the game. They're going to send Pettitte out there. You know, with Jeter last night, he kept waiting for a moment like that to be scripted. Maybe they're going to take Jeter out. Who are they going to send out? Maybe 2 outs in the 9th, maybe the 7th. A lot of speculation, and the fact that there didn't need to be a script. The game was the script.
Thank God they didn't, right?
And Jeter just sort of naturally reacted to such a joyous moment that it took away an opportunity for a head-bobbing, sobbing scene like that we saw from Mariano.
Popped up. Wheeler makes the play. As we move along here, we'll give you the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by your Tri-State BMW Centers. Visit us at tristatebmw.com. BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. You know, we had Andy Pettitte on in the middle of the game yesterday, and he said that they didn't decide to do that with Mo till much later in the game. It was not scripted before the game, and Andy wanted no part of it. He didn't think it was a good idea at all. No, I don't want to do that. And then he went in and asked Mariano after Mariano had pitched the previous inning and was getting his arm massaged in ice because his arm was in pretty bad shape, Andy said. And Mariano just shoot him away. I don't care what you do, just whatever you want. And just like shoot him out of the room. And then Andy said, okay, we'll do it. And then he said, I did not expect Mo to break down like that. He said, but I didn't even know he was crying until I felt him shaking in my arms. And that was pretty emotional.
Yes. Oh, my.
Hey, I just look at it with you, Al. I mean, if you're Derek Jeter, you're Mariano Rivera, and it's over, that's an unbelievable life, a professional life that's ending. And you had the same thing happen to you, and it was a spring training game, and the stage wasn't as big, and they took you out, and you were sobbing on the bench. You didn't think you'd react that way.
No. That's why, I mean, you know, to try to hold it back and control it and all that. And look, there's no comparison. I mean, it's apples and oranges with, you know, what Derek has done or any of it, but we all had our moments. And yeah, I mean, I knew I was coming back to spring training. I knew I was going to go into Joe Torre's office and say that was it. And you know, it was weird because I could still throw. I was fine. I just lost kind of the fire in the pit of my belly. So I asked Joe, I said, you know, let me pitch. Let me just go out and throw. I know it's only spring training. He said, fine. Randy's got his, you know, he's got to throw 75 pitches, whichever. He does his thing. I come out, and yeah, I lost it. I know it was in George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, but in my world, it was 23 years of professional baseball that just flashed before my eyes, and I couldn't hold it in.
Wussy.
Exactly. You big wimp. I'm telling you, that's why I'm watching Derek last night. I'm like, man, there's no way I could have done that.
Now, was there a moment, David, that you knew it was over, that there was an emotion, or what was that moment?
It was an emotion. It was called pain. I couldn't get out of bed.
Really?
And start to walk. I was worried about long-term damage to my hip, and I just said I can't do it anymore. And I couldn't get out the door fast enough because it's once you make that decision, you just have to go with it.
But was there that moment that you were on the field and you knew this was my last time ever on a professional baseball field?
No, there wasn't that moment. My moment came in the morning when I couldn't get out of bed.
Right.
And I felt that kind of pain, and I really did get worried. I thought, you know, I'm doing permanent damage here, and there's a lot of things I want to do with my life. And, you know, I don't want to, at 40 years old, I don't want to do irreparable harm to my body any more than I already did, obviously.
Was there sadness when you decided that, when you knew officially this great life was over as a professional?
Certainly there was sadness. There was relief, too. There was tremendous relief where, you know what, I did all I could do. I found out. You know, obviously I tried to make a comeback after taking a year off in 2003 with the Mets, and at least I could say to myself, like, I found out. I went back and tried, and I was with Al there with the Mets. You talked me into it. It was your fault.
I did. Johnny Franco and I said, come on, David.
Ground ball is short. Ryan.
All right, so, yes, you just called me a wimp. But you didn't have that moment. And I know it's all, yeah, there's my big moment. And you know who it was? Is Eduardo Perez. I get one out. Now, Gator. So I guess Alex knew. I don't know. Nobody knew. Kelly Stinnett, who I just saw at a U14 baseball tournament down in Cary, North Carolina. Gil Patterson, awesome, awesome human being, was my first pitching coach. Mel, there you see Mel and Yogi. Yeah. But if you had that moment, buddy, I don't know. I think you'd have been a wimp, too.
I think David went with stronger than wimp.
Oh, what do you call it? Wuss. Yeah.
Yes. The moment I had was, if you remember, Al, with the Mets in 2003, there was a young reliever named Feliciano, Pedro Feliciano, who ended up with a nice career. And he was going to get sent down to AAA if I decided not to retire. And I thought to myself, I'm hurting the team. I cannot do this anymore. I'm doing harm to my body. I'm not pitching well. And here's a kid who deserves to be in the big leagues, and I'm taking his spot. That's how I felt, or at least how I rationalized it at that point. Yeah. I understand the emotions, absolutely.
Popped up, Cervelli in front of the Red Sox dugout. Can't make the play. Kind of overran that.
Surprising. As a catcher, you're getting balls that are much more difficult. You got to turn around. The ball's coming back to the field. I know he's not a first baseman. Just overruns it.
Right about there, right before the ball, you can see the panic come in. Right about here where he's going, I am not there. I'm not going to catch this. He missed that by a wide range.
No error on the play. They scored no play. And gives Bogaerts another swing. Capuano deals the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Got him off speed. And Capuano works a 1-2-3 third inning. We go to the fourth. Yankees 2 and the Red Sox 1. Vehicle of the New York Yankees. Who's the only Yankee to play in both Mariano Rivera's and Derek Jeter's final games at Yankee Stadium? That's a good question.
No, come on.
You know who it is?
Yeah.
Really? I don't know if it's him. No, I don't think it's him. He was hurt. Oh. Brendan Ryan will lead it off against Stephen Wright.
You just never forget the look on John Ryan Murphy's face standing on the mound.
The accidental tourist.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just deer in the headlights, you know, watching that scene with Mariano.
But boy, does he have a story for a lifetime, huh?
Count 2-0 on Ryan.
Everyday player, right, Michael? Or
just said player. Fly ball to center field. Castillo makes the play. Al thinks he has it.
Absolutely, definitely.
Here's that Zealous Wheeler.
You got your MVP picks, Al? American League, National League?
Yeah.
You ready to debate whether a pitcher should get the award or not?
We're allowed to start, right? 1 out. Go.
Well, I am not of the school that a pitcher shouldn't win the MVP. I think Kershaw should be in the conversation, should be heavily considered. Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers. I think Andrew McCutchen is probably the best position player in the National League this year overall. So I think it's between Kershaw and McCutchen in the National League for MVP.
It would have been Giancarlo Stanton for me, but I'm with you. I think what you just said is right on.
Wheeler is out, 2-away. Well, we put 4 candidates together. Kershaw, Buster Posey certainly come on. McCutchen and Stanton. And Stanton's out for the remainder of the season after getting hit in the face with a pitch.
The thing about Kershaw is, and obviously Giancarlo Stanton's power numbers in today's game of, as we talked about earlier, the diminished slugger. Everybody's looking for a slugger that makes him all the more valuable. And hopefully he's okay with that horrific face injury he got when he got beamed.
Yep.
But if you take Clayton Kershaw's numbers away from the Dodgers, they're barely over 500. Even though they have Greinke following him up and people think of the Dodgers as a deep rotation. Without Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers' record is just barely over 500 on the days he does not pitch. And you could say, well, a pitcher only pitches in 30, 32 games a year. There's another 130. Well, a pitcher like Kershaw has a residual effect on the guy pitching the next day and the guy pitching the next day after that. Takes a lot of pressure off the rest of the rotation. Takes a lot of pressure off the bullpen in the days he pitches. A lot of guys get a day off out there. So Kershaw affects many more games than just the games he actually appears in and pitches in. McCutchen, on the other hand, with Pittsburgh, they're going to make the playoffs too, obviously, and so he deserves major consideration as well.
I was on the fence, and I always have felt that the Cy Young Award is the most valuable pitcher and is not an everyday player. However, pitchers are eligible to be voted on and to be voted for. And as a result, those names are also in the pool, so you have to consider that. And the more I think about it is what Kershaw has done. It has to be that kind of spectacular season for me.
Ground ball to first. And Wright just beat Richardson to the bag for the final out of the inning. We're going to continue this conversation, and we'll also explore the AL candidates. By the way, the last National League pitcher to win MVP was Bob Gibson. question. Who's the only player to play in both Mariano Rivera's and Derek Jeter's final games at Yankee Stadium? You think you have the answer, Al?
I think it's Brett Gardner.
Okay. Let's see if you're right.
Come on. Oh, Ichiro.
Wow. Ichiro.
That was your guess, wasn't it?
No, it was not. I was with you. I thought, Gardner was a good guess.
Pitch inside to Cespedes. 2-1 Yankees lead the Red Sox.
Which coincidentally brings up another point, Al, with Ichiro and Hiroki Kuroda, for that matter, might have played their last games in pinstripes in Derek Jeter's last game.
Popped up. Long run for Cervelli. He's having trouble with these foul balls, not even coming close. So Cespedes gets another swing.
I thought Kuroda was fantastic last night. I thought he was so consistent, worth every penny in pinstripes his whole career. For the 3 years he pitched for the Yankees. One of the most professional pitchers I've ever seen and been around. So consistent. This year, Al, when the Yankees scored 3 or more runs for Hiroki Kuroda, I think he was 10 or 11-1, his record. When they scored 2 runs or less, which more times than not that happened, he was 0-8. So that's kind of the story of Hiroki Kuroda's career, really.
It was so impressive the way he kept it together after giving up those 2 home runs yesterday. I mean, kind of punctured the whole moment and the excitement at the stadium. In the middle of the Jeter roll call, Markakis hits the home run, and then De Aza follows with a home run back-to-back.
Yeah.
But he battled back and was great after that.
Showing the ultimate respect and deferring to Derek Jeter, not wanting any attention on himself when it very well could have been his last major league game. Certainly, possibly the last Yankee game he'll pitch.
And Cespedes down looking. Now, we're talking about the National League MVP, the AL. It's an interesting MVP situation. Mike Trout, Victor Martinez has had a great year, and he's going to be a free agent as well. Nelson Cruz and Adam Jones. Sometimes teammates cancel each other out. Now, the interesting thing about Trout, this could be the year that he gets it, but you don't realize it until you look deeper into his numbers. 290, 35 home runs, 110 ribbies. He's got a lot of strikeouts, way more than he used to. People are really pounding him inside with a fastball, and he's never been that high of a strikeout guy like he is this year.
And he's still batting 290.
Yeah.
I mean, that you put a high strikeout total on a guy, that average goes down. He's my pick. I know Miggy the last couple of years, Triple Crown type player. Miguel Cabrera I'm talking about with the Tigers.
Trout has 181 strikeouts.
I think Mike Trout wins it going away, without a doubt. I think when you factor in base running and defense as well, he's exceptional in both of those categories by any measure. And he's been all over it the last couple of years. It's his turn.
Lined right at Wheeler, a little ice cream cone, but he holds on to retire Craig.
Yeah, not that voters can be influenced by popularity here. You see the line shot right here. Alan Craig, Dallas Wheeler, ooh, a little ice cream cone. But Mike Trout, now I guess it's arguably, of course it is, because you have to quantify all the areas, but is the best player in the game. As far as what you just said, David, both sides of the baseball, you factor in WAR and the sabermetric element to sports, a 5-tool guy. You know, that's exciting to watch a guy that can do pretty much every aspect of the game.
He's had a historic start to his career in the first 3 years. You can compare him to some of the all-time greats in their first 3 years in the big leagues. A lot of experts feel like he should have already won 1 or 2 MVPs. But because of the great Miguel Cabrera, has not. Now, Cabrera is still having a good year, but has fallen off a bit. Left the door open for Trout to win this year.
Ground ball to Cervelli, steps on the bag, and a 1-2-3 inning here in the 4th. We played 4 full at Fenway Park. Yankees lead the Red Sox 2-1. playing the final game of his storied career. Yankees Red Sox coverage starts at 12:30 with Audi batting practice today and the Tri-State Ford pregame. Then we're back for the call of this unforgettable day at Fenway. And after the postgame on Sunday, yes, we'll be premiering Yankees Access, Derek Jeter, featuring the full exclusive interview with Meredith Marakovitz. And also on Monday at 7 p.m., yes, we'll re-air the incredible final game in the Bronx, including all of our post-game coverage from yesterday. I kind of knew that was going to be a Yankee Classic. It had all the ingredients because they won and something big happened. So, really? There's been one loss on Yankee. Two? Well, we know the Rivera game. What was the second one? Oh, and the Rivera ceremony. Okay. There's a scoreboard brought to you by your Tri-State BMW Centers. Visit us at tristatebmw.com. BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine, as Perella grounds out to third to start off the fifth.
You know, Al, there's one guy, you know, just to go back to our topic of conversation, to kind of finish off this point.
Yes.
From the AL MVP argument, there's one guy that should get some love. He's a great all-around player in a breakout year in Cleveland, Michael Brantley. All-around player. Base running, defense, offense. By a lot of measures, maybe the second, just offensive stats, maybe the second best offensive year all around to Mike Trout. Baseball Reference has him rated second, just an offensive WAR, to Mike Trout.
Where do they have Victor Martinez?
Victor Martinez is 8th in offensive WAR.
Really?
Yes, according to Baseball Reference. Now there's there's Fangraphs.com. There's other measures and other criteria that different sites use.
337, 32 home runs, 102 RBIs.
Bunted right back to right.
Offensive WAR does have a component for base running in it as well.
Okay.
And that's one thing Victor Martinez does not excel.
Very one-dimensional player. Nelson Cruz, very one-dimensional player. Both of them, a lot of DH at bats. You know, you really, what goes into creating a run? One of the sabermetrics category is runs created. Now, what goes into creating a run? Taking extra bases, going first to third, scoring from first on a double. How many times did you go first to third? Not just stolen bases. Michael Brantley had an unbelievable success rate stealing bases. I don't think he got caught once this year. 20, well over 20 stolen bases, 25 or somewhere in that range. I'll double check. But base running, very important. How you run the bases. It's a direct impact on whether you touch home plate or not. It's the name of the game, is to touch home plate. If you hit it over the wall, yeah, you can jog around the bases. Yeah, that's nice. But a lot more ways to touch home plate by just how you run the bases that gets overlooked throughout the course of history. And not to mention defense. Michael Brantley, an excellent defender as well. I go back to 1988, Michael, and Darryl Strawberry was the right fielder for the Mets. Kevin McReynolds was the left fielder for the Mets, and they split the vote on the MVP. And Kirk Gibson snuck in and won the MVP. Nice day to mention his name right as he lost his job.
Yeah, he did. Base hit to right field for Cervelli. He's 2 for 3.
Keith Hernandez, the first baseman for the Mets, was quoted in the papers as saying, how could Strawberry win? He doesn't play defense. Meaning that Kevin McReynolds deserved it because he was a better defender. According to Keith Hernandez and Strawberry, well, that caused a fight the next spring training.
Right.
If you remember, on camera day, we're taking our team photo, and Strawberry held a grudge through the whole offseason because of that comment. Felt like he lost the MVP award because Keith Hernandez said he wasn't good enough on defense to win the MVP. So this isn't a sabermetrics argument. This argument goes way back about who should win the MVP, how important defense is, how important base running is. It just isn't about slugging.
Chris Young takes outside, 1-0. On the top of the 5th inning at Fenway, first game of the final series of the year. Yankees 2 and the Red Sox 1. Along with David Cohn and Al Leiter, I'm Michael Kay. We thank you for joining us on My 9 tonight, spending part of your Friday evening with us. And a strike from right.
Well, I'm curious because I know you're into the sabermetrics probably more than any retired player I know. maybe even active. Do you dismiss quickly what the Triple Crown means? Because I know when that all played out, and Miguel Cabrera got it, and Steve Trout did not.
Fly ball to left field.
No, I don't. I don't dismiss it.
There were a lot of sabermetrics that didn't matter. Triple Crown, who cares?
Well, we'll talk more about this. We're halfway through here at Fenway Park. Yankees 2, Red Sox 1 on my 9. Discount furniture. Go online to mybobs.com. Home runs in the American League. Nelson Cruz with 40. Chris Carter 37. The veteran David Ortiz not playing tonight. Tied with 3 others at 35. Ortiz, Trout, Bautista, and Jose Abreu. Another great season for David Ortiz. David Ortiz had a funny line today. He said the way it played out for Derek Jeter last night, he said you would almost think it was fixed. Now, he was just joking. He said, but it could not be more perfect. He said it was almost like somebody scripted it and said, all right, this is the way the game's going to end. But obviously no one scripted it because it was kind of an important game for the Orioles. They had to, they're trying to get home field advantage. So I don't think Buck Showalter would play party to a script. BMW scoreboard 2-1. Yankees over the Red Sox.
Well, they were playing for that #1 seed, possibly, Michael, but now the Angels 3 games ahead of them. David. All right, so the Mike Trout war, both sides of the baseball. When Miguel Cabrera won for the second time, not the defensive guy, obviously goes from third to first, a little DH. And I heard a lot of comments that, Triple Crown, what is it? What does it mean? 3 categories. Some writer, doctrinated it back with Ted Williams.
Secretariat, right? The horse.
All right. So what, you get a guy to win in those 3 base offensive categories. Pretty hard to deny him MVP.
Well, it's impressive. The Triple Crown's impressive in my mind, just historically speaking.
Base hit for Castillo.
It's 3 categories. There's so many more categories that go into, as I said, creating a run, saving a run. The Triple Crown is nice from a historical standpoint. It's easy to compare to years past. It's nice to be able to reach back 50 years and say that the last Triple Crown winner was so-and-so, and that's the beauty of the numbers of baseball. Over 100 years collectively, you've got so much to dive into and compare generation to generation. Triple Crown, to me, isn't the end-all, though. Doesn't mean you should automatically win the MVP, but it's impressive. There's just a lot more that goes into it.
Brent swings and fouls the ball off. I've just never understood the thinking that, you know, pitchers shouldn't be allowed to win the MVP. As long as they're allowed to win the MVP, they should be allowed to win the MVP. It's not in the voting bylaws that a pitcher can't win it. So a pitcher could be the most valuable player on their team and in the league. You know, as David mentioned before with Clayton Kershaw, let's say you just plugged in a pitcher who was a 15-win pitcher. They're not in the playoffs. So he's pretty darn valuable. He's 18 games over 500.
Without a doubt. There are exceptions. Certain years where a pitcher clearly could easily be the MVP.
High fly ball, right center. A long run for the right fielder Richardson, and he makes the play. Hustling back to first is Castillo. Brents gave it a ride, but Richardson with an impressive play right near the wall for the first out.
Case in point right here, Al, the speed. Watch the speed of the Yankee outfielders. Both center field and right field with Richardson both had a shot at this ball. That's a long way away from home plate and a lot of range from the outfielders right there. That easily could have been a triple in the triangle.
He hit right into the corner there.
Great athleticism. Capuano loves it, of course. That saved at least one run right there. Defensive run saved.
Here's Ryan Lavarnway. Runner goes. Double clutch by Murphy. Overslide. Perella tried to apply the tag, but Castillo got back, so a stolen base for Castillo.
Jose Perella making sure that the tag gets on him, but then you watch the slide here. Castillo having to get back quickly. Right call.
Castillo, a big pickup by the Red Sox. Defected from Cuba. A lot of teams bidding for him. The Red Sox saw the highest upside, and $72 million. They think he could be that good. And Cuban players starting to really gain a lot of interest. It's an untapped market. You look at Jose Abreu, who's going to be the Rookie of the Year this year, and he brings something that they don't have in baseball any longer, power. So people are looking closer at the Cuban players that become available.
Got a big right-handed bat and can look right over to left field for Cespedes too, also a Cuban import, and have a friend.
You've got Yasiel Puig, Aroldis Chapman, some really outstanding players have made their way to the big leagues.
There's no doubt that the Red Sox front office has put a premium on sluggers, especially right-handed power. That's why they traded away Lester and didn't sign him, to bring in Cespedes. That's why they gave up, I believe, $75 million to sign Castillo. Potential to have a right-handed slugger in the lineup here at Fenway was really missing this year for the Red Sox.
Popped up. Another try for Cervelli, and this play he makes, the more difficult play for the second out.
Well, third time's a charm for Francisco Cervelli. Out of position, natural position to catcher. Watch this ball go up against the railing. That was the most difficult play, right? Almost popped out his gloves. It caught it in the heel.
There's the number 9 hitter, catcher Dan Butler. And a strike.
That's one thing Capuano's done as a Yankee. And if you remember, he started the year with the Red Sox in the bullpen and got off to a great start. And then had a series of rough outings and got released. The Yankees picked him up, but he's a strike thrower. 48 for 67. Strikes. A little over 70%. And we mentioned it earlier, Al. The fact that he is starting this meaningless game for the Yankees shows me that they like him. They want to see him. Probably going to get invited back for next spring training. You don't give a start to a 10-year veteran like this unless you like him, unless you're thinking maybe next year. Otherwise, you give it to one of your young guys in the bullpen. Maybe Brian Mitchell, or take your pick down in the bullpen.
You said it. He's 36 years old. He'll be 37 next year. Nice veteran left-handed pitcher. He's proven he could do it here. They know what he can do out of the bullpen because he's done it. You mentioned about how well the job he did here with the Red Sox until he had some bad outings.
There's no other way to explain that he gets the ball here tonight in this game.
Runner was going, swinging and missed by Butler, tagged out by Murphy, and that will do it. Here in the 5th, no runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We've got a debate 5 going today. When we return, we'll look at the AL Cy Young. MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcast, the MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Get at bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store or visit MLB.com. Well, the Red Sox will make the call to the bullpen. Brought to you by Verizon. Celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Verizon at Verizon.com/CreaFuturo. Matt Barnes comes in for Stephen Wright. And the Yankees breathe a sigh of relief as they don't have to deal with a knuckleball. It'll be Barnes against Murphy, Romine, and Ryan. Murphy's 0 for 2. And Barnes deals. Good crisp fastball, 95 miles an hour for a strike. Boy, that must seem like 105 after Stephen Wright. Ground ball and past the diving LeVarn way and down the right field line. Is going to hug that wall as J.R. Murphy is going to go for 2, and he is in there and stumbled in there. Dangerous slide, but a leadoff double here in the 6th for John Ryan Murphy.
Well, excellent plate coverage. 96 miles an hour down and away, shoots it down the line. Just past the diving LeVarn way and just hit well enough, but that's what Murphy's shown is good plate coverage. Excellent. That was that was a well above average fastball, and you see right here, he's humping. And this slide, the thing I like about that slide is he played it off. You know, it was a bad slide. He popped right up and
take the guard off.
Yeah, real quick and just play it off.
Now the guys in the dugout will not let him get away with that, right?
No.
Here's Austin Romine. Now, we promised that we talk about the American League Cy Young race, and boy, it's going to be an interesting race. It's very, very close, and I think that votes will depend on what each individual voter accentuates and feels is the most important thing, because you could make a case for about 4 guys, maybe even more. Take a look at these numbers. Felix Hernandez might have hurt his candidacy with a real bad start earlier this week. Still having a great year. Chris Sale was unbelievable for the White Sox. Corey Kluber pitched that unbelievable game at Yankee Stadium when Paul O'Neill got his plaque. And his strikeout total is 258. Max Scherzer bet on himself, turned down $144 million, and he might have won that bet. That's grounded up the middle. A base hit for Romine. Charging is Castillo, and he bobbled the ball. But by that point, Murphy had been held up. So a single for Romine.
Well, watch Castillo up straightaway center. Hot smash up the middle. Castillo, early on, Robbie Thompson holds him up. It looks like a standard, easy play for the center fielder. Now, once that happens, you have kind of a shutdown kind of mindset here. You see John Ryan Murphy just kind of slow up. And then he wanted to restart him, and all right, hold up.
So 1st and 3rd, nobody out here in the 6th, and here is Brendan Ryan. Fouled away. All right, so you guys saw the 4 names we put up. Who would you lean to in the American League Cy Young voting?
Well, I think the fact, that some writers still take into consideration whether the candidate's team made the postseason or not. So obviously that gives Scherzer an edge because Detroit is in the postseason. But to me, the nastiest guy I saw all year was Corey Kluber. And I think the numbers kind of back it up, too. Felix Hernandez will get a lot of votes because of reputation and another great year and body of work. And, you look at the criteria for a lot of these awards, and there's some bias to it. There's going to be career achievement. There's going to be guys, on the West Coast vote for pitchers they saw more. The writers being, I saw more of these guys on the West Coast. The East Coast guys might be more East Coast bias. But the guy I saw that I was most impressed with this year, Corey Kluber.
Yep. I'm going to agree with you, and I do think that King Felix is going to probably squeak him out because of the reputation. But you look at what Corey Kluber's done across the board. His numbers, hard to deny. And you talk about dominant stuff, David. The 258 strikeouts really stick out for me. Each of these pitchers that we're mentioning, they make the bell. They have their 33, 34 starts. I don't know if Kluber has the cachet to get maybe enough votes. He's going to get a lot.
Now, Chris Sale only has 12 wins, but one of the most dominant pitching performances that I saw all year was against the Yankees. He came up the DL. They could not touch him, as Brendan Ryan could not hold up on the swing, so he strikes out.
Yeah, but you know what, Michael, and I love Chris Sale. I mean, funky delivery. Let's take a look at here. This big old curveball. That is a 12-6 right there. Check swing. Pulled now. Our home plate umpire actually made the call. Well, I want it.
That was right on the borderline. I mean, tough one. That's a tough one for a hitter, and I'm a pitcher.
Wheeler fouls it off.
You know, Al, I've talked about this before, the whole check swing thing. You know, what is a check swing? Back in Little League, you remember, he broke his wrist.
Yeah, or the plane.
Yeah, and then at one point, big league umpires would talk about his intent. Did he really try to swing it? I don't know what that ever meant. I say you use the end zone. It's like the NFL, the plane of home plate. If the bat head breaks the plane, same as the NFL, if the ball breaks the plane of the end zone, then it's a score or it's a swing. I think it's a very simple rule to make for umpires, and you just make the home plate, the plane. If the bat enters that plane or breaks the plane, well, that's an awful drawing right there. But anyway,
the front of home plate.
The front of home plate is the plane. So if the bat head breaks the plane, it's a swing. Simple as that.
Powered that one upstairs past Wheeler.
Now, as our broadcast partner Paul O'Neill would say, how could you see the pitch, identify what it is, ball strike, and then also see the check swing? So can a third base umpire or a first base umpire see that you're breaking the plane from that angle?
I think you do defer to those guys with the better view. Absolutely. I agree with Paul that the home plate umpire should defer.
Well, isn't the rule the intent to hit the baseball?
I don't know what the rule is.
I think that's the rule.
It's unbelievably
Don't
ambiguous.
they have an intention when they get up there? Now batting?
Well, I mean, the definition of the balk is attempt to deceive the base runner, which is always what you're trying to do. So everything's a balk. High fly ball, right field. Tagging is Murphy. Craig makes the catch. Here's the throw. Not nearly in time. A sac fly for Wheeler, and the Yankees lead 3-1. Yankees have one of the best benches of all time today, with Jeter and Teixeira and McCann and Ellsbury and Gardner. Very much a spring training feel to this lineup, but they are leading. Here is Antoine Richardson. This guy has a good fastball. Inside, 1-0.
No doubt that the speed of these young players have played a key in this game, both defensively and base running. I think a guy we should mention too on the pitching side in the American League who had just a fantastic year after having such a rough year last year, Phil Hughes in Minnesota. Incredible year, bounce back year. Obviously benefiting from a bigger ballpark, just wasn't suited for Yankee Stadium, but Phil Hughes broke Brett Saberhagen's all-time record. He had more wins than walks, which was a record I didn't think was going to be broken.
Didn't he have the equal number, 16 and 16?
It might have been. I think at one point it was either equal or he had one more.
Equal. 16 walks, 16 home runs.
No, 16 walks and 16 wins.
Yes.
And also I'm sorry, yeah, 16 wins, 16 walks, and he gave up 16 home runs.
He did something that I think is so cool. He missed a $500,000 bonus by a third of an inning. The only reason he didn't pitch that third of an inning was because the game was short because of rain. And the Twins said, do you want to pitch this weekend in relief? And he said, no, that wouldn't be right. It would be really cool if the Twins said, listen, you get your bonus anyway. But for him to turn down pitching in relief to get $500,000, which is a lot of money for anybody, I think that shows you what Phil Hughes is about. Fly ball center field. Castillo makes the play, and that'll do it. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We go to the bottom of the 6th. 3-1 Yanks. Sell now. Secure the best seat locations for the 2015 season. In addition, as a new season ticket holder, you will enjoy significant savings and flexible payment options. Your legacy starts now with 2015 season tickets. Call 212-YANKEES or email seasontickets@yankees.com to place your first installment on your 2015 New York Yankees season tickets. Bottom of the 6th inning. Take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard on the bottom of your screen. Brought to you by Chevrolet. Visit your local Chevy dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Chris Capuano will deal with the top of the Red Sox order. Mookie Betts starts it off. And the first pitch is a strike. Now, Al, you have a point you wanted to make about the Phil Hughes situation.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to the story about the $500,000 bonus. If they're willing to offer him to go during the weekend and pitch a third of an inning, why not just pay him? You're saying, okay, Phil, you know what? You need a third of an inning. You had an unbelievable season. We're excited to have you for a couple more years, but you got to earn that third of an inning? Come on.
I agree completely. Just give it to him if you think he earned it.
And the only reason he didn't get it is because it was a rain-shortened game. He was going to pitch that third of an inning. It wasn't like he didn't reach it. He was going to reach it, but Mother Nature got in the way.
I'm going to say they give it to him.
The Twins don't print money, though. Right? I mean, $500,000 to them is probably more important than it is to a bigger market team.
It reminds me of a George Steinbrenner line he gave me one year when I was negotiating a series of one-year deals at the end of my career. And
right.
He said, if I'm going to pay you $12 million a year, I don't have to give you incentive bonuses. You should do all that stuff.
That's true.
You should make the All-Star team. I'm paying you that kind of money.
Chopped up the middle. Perella makes the play.
I know, it became standard. I guess coming right from the boss's mouth, it's a little different than when you negotiate through your agent and a general manager. But how often do you see that? Bonuses for making all-star teams and different plateaus.
Things came down to negotiations with Mr. Steinbrenner that way a lot, where you had a personal conversation with him at the end of the day, or right at the twilight hour, so to speak. And I didn't have a comeback when he told me that. I was like, okay, you're right. What do you mean you want an all-star bonus? You should make the All-Star team for the money I'm paying you.
David, what was that like? Was it intimidating sitting across the table from him negotiating a deal? Was it fun?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of times it could be a range of emotions with you. He would play very hard and very tough, and then at the last minute, if he thought you were going to go somewhere else or that you were tough enough to call his bluff, he respected you more for that. And then he would sit down and talk to you and make a deal. Mm-hmm. He could get into deal-making mode if he really respected you. A lot of times people would talk about George Steinbrenner and if you stood up to him, if he got on you or came down in the clubhouse and got on you and you stood up to him and showed him you were tough, he respected you more. A lot of people have those type of stories, whether you're ball players or even front office personnel, scouts, secretaries. He would test you, and if you showed him character, then he respected you more for that. But without a doubt, he would test you more than once.
Was that after the year you threw the perfect game going in? You have to go in with the position of strength, of course, right? As to how much you're going to stand up to the boss.
I wasn't afraid to go year to year at the end of my career. Yep. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't looking for a big 3-year deal when I was 35 or 36 years old. I understood the risk factor, but I said to him, I do want a premium then. I'll go year to year with you. I'll take some of the risk off of you, but I want a premium for that. And he understood that. And it actually worked out better for me.
Grounded to third. Wheeler backs up, makes the play, fires across to get Bogaerts. Al, you were a young kid. Your longer stay with the Yankees, did you ever have any interaction with George Steinbrenner?
Stuff like this? No.
Because you weren't negotiating deals then, but like when you struggled or something, did he ever get in your grill?
You know what? I said this about with Lou as my first manager, as tough as Lou Piniella could be on players, especially young players back then, and pitchers. Lou was great to me, and the few times that I was encountered, and it was usually, it was in the clubhouse somewhere when Mr. Steinbrenner would come through, he was always very nice to me. Mm-hmm. And I was very appreciative, but certainly when the boss walked through, I was either going to go the other way and hide in somewhere just because you just didn't know, not that I was doing anything wrong. I remember, and I'll tell you what how Mr. Steinbrenner felt, and this was going way back long before Interleague. This was in 1989. John Candelaria and I pitched a combined shutout against the Mets in a Mayor's Trophy Cup game. Remember with the Mets in this end of spring training? Mm-hmm. He came in and hugged John and I and was really genuinely excited about us beating the Mets in spring training.
Perella on the left side with the shift makes the play for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning. So 6 strong innings for Chris Capuano. 3-1 Yankees. By your local Lexus dealer. by New York Tri-State McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Beautiful night here in New England. Yankees and the Red Sox. First game of the final series of the year as Jose Perella leads off the 7th. And there's a strike. It is 3-1 Yankees on the scoreboard, brought to you by the City mobile app. Now we're talking about negotiating with George Steinbrenner, as that one's fouled back. And Jack Curry asked me to ask David this. He said before '96, Cone almost went to Baltimore. GMS called Cone from a phone booth outside a Tampa hospital and offered no trade clause to seal the deal. He signed a 3-year, $19.5 million deal. And Jack asked, what was that phone call like?
It was incredible. It really was.
Really?
He was visiting a sick friend in the hospital. He had a very somber tone in his voice. Baltimore Orioles had already assembled a press conference. It was this close to signing with the Orioles.
Really?
Very close. That we were haggling over deferred money, which really amounted to nothing at the end of the day. And George got wind of it and called me from that phone booth and saved the deal, and saved me, really, because obviously, who knows what revisionist history, however you want to look at it, what would have happened. I'm obviously very thankful that he did make that call. I was able to have the years with the Yankees that I did, but that was an incredible call.
Now, you had an agent, but he would go straight to you to do it.
Yes, he called me directly. He did. From a payphone.
Payphone. There's kids out there saying payphone. The owner of the New York Yankees running a payphone. That's cool.
There was some back and forth throughout the negotiations. Obviously, I had an agent. There was an offer on the table. Part of it was taken off the table. We didn't know what was up in terms of the Yankees there. We kind of felt like we were getting jerked around a little bit. And then George came in at the end of the day and saved it and basically won me back over and told me, everything I wanted to hear.
Was that late? Was it close to spring training or early in the free agent market?
Ripped to left field and right at Brent's as Perella's retired.
It was on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
It was right before Christmas.
What a nice Christmas present.
And unfortunately, if you remember, the PR director for the Yankees back then was Rob Butcher, who had gone home for Christmas,
right,
and wasn't there when the deal was made and ended up getting let go.
And that's why he's the PR director of the Reds now.
That's why he's now in Cincinnati.
Wow.
Because he didn't stay at Yankee Stadium on Christmas Eve.
Here's Yuri Perez.
Now, I don't know if that's the case. I mean, who knows? But that, poor Rob Butcher. Might have been other issues, too. I'm just kind of joking halfway here.
But it's Cincinnati a long time.
It's a matter of record.
See, that story intertwines with me and you, Michael.
How's that?
Well, if you remember the phone call that I actually had a conversation with you as to whether I should be a Oriole, a Marlin, or stay with the Blue Jays.
Right. It was 3 hours of my life I'll never get back.
That was the 96 year. 1996.
He's asking me 3 hours. I mean, imagine him. You're not talking much in a 3 hour phone call. And I said, well, you got to take the Orioles. That's good advice. I think, they're poised. They can make a run. They'll be battling the Yankees for the next couple of years. Okay, that's what I think I'm going to do. Woke up the next day, he had taken the Marlins off him.
I was going to say, that was going to be at least worth 2% to you, right, on the agent side.
That was Davey Johnson and Pat Gillick was the GM, right?
Yes.
Now, I've got to do this, David. I just have to because it made me laugh out loud. our colleague Bob Lorenz is hearing the story about the phone call on Christmas Eve and from the payphone. And this is Bob, not me, saying, and that was the last time David Cone ever answered a phone call.
That's why he doesn't answer.
I answer when I have to, and it was a hard line.
And what did you say at the start of the game when I said about answering phone calls? And you said what? You're working on it.
I'm working on it. Yeah. I'm in rehab. I'm going to rehab for that.
Going to rehab to answer phones.
Phobia of the cell phone. These things cause cancer.
Here's Francisco Cervelli. Hey, you answered it when you had to.
That's right.
Made yourself $19.5 million. There's a strike. (3-1) Yankees lead, top of the 7th inning. The game after. That's what this one will be known as. As most of the Yankee regulars with the night off, but Chris Capuano has been in their rotation for a while, is pitching well, taking advantage. The 0-1. 0-2. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. And really the inside joke for the viewers that might not know, David is very, very, very difficult to get on the phone. But when you get him, it's a very engaging conversation. Even our boss can't get him, which is unbelievable.
Don't take it personally. I'm consistent.
I remember I had sent out wedding invitations and I got an RSVP. And finally I said, David, I'm really sorry. I have to know, you know. Oh, yeah, I'm going. I just didn't get a chance to get back to you.
That's when I found out it was at the Plaza. I decided to go.
Our director, John Moore, said David Cone is the most inaccessible, accessible person ever.
That's fair.
Just the world passed me by, Michael. I mean, when did people get offended if you don't answer their instant message right away? You know, somebody texts you, and if you they're offended. What if you don't carry the phone around with you? Somehow I got the world passed me by now.
Yeah, but eventually you have to answer. Or not.
He said he's going to therapy for it. Leave him alone.
Then the ADD kicks in, and you forget. You know. I only communicate on Twitter nowadays. That's where you can get me.
Did he swing? No, he did not. So a walk for Cervelli. Hey, he used to be a con man and a former psychic, but now Patrick Jane is on the right side of the law. Starting Thursday, don't miss 2 full hours of brain power, crime-solving mystery on The Mentalist. Don't even try to fool this guy because he already knows what you're thinking. The Mentalist, Thursday night starting at 8 on My 9. Chris Young pops it up. Lavarnway in foul territory will make the play, and that will do it here in the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 man left. The end of 6.5 is time for the 7th inning stretch. Yankees lead this one 3-1. conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. Just 4 hits for the Red Sox against Capuano. Yoenis Cespedes with a double. Alan Craig with a single, scored the only run. Bryce Brents picked up a single and an RBI. And Rusney Castillo picked up a single. Respect. Seems like everyone around the world gained even more respect, if that's possible, for Derek Jeter, the way he handled his final game in the Bronx. A dramatic moment, a dramatic final page to his home career. And he said he is going to play here in Boston out of respect to the rivalry, out of respect to the fans. And the fans now begin chanting Derek Jeter. Now, I don't know how many Red Sox fans are doing that, but there's a lot of New York fans that made their way to this ballpark to see Derek Jeter this weekend. And I'm glad that he decided that he was going to play. Now, he's not going to play shortstop. He's just going to DH. But I think that the decision to play is consistent with the player he was and what he always believed in. Healthy, I play. I don't make excuses. I don't like to watch games from the dugout. If he had missed this entire series, it would have been a rare, if even isolated, misstep. He has not made missteps in his career and in his professional life, and I think that he stayed consistent with this. As you see the city scoreboard, he should play, and he's playing tomorrow and Sunday as the DH.
Well, I'm in agreement, and I'm sure the storybook ending, and Yankee fans would like to probably, maybe there's a population that would think that that moment last night should be the last. Michael, before the game, you're standing in front of the dugout and talking to various people. There were a lot of Yankee fans, and several of them yelling to me, "Is Derek in the lineup? Is Derek in the lineup?" And I got chatting with one guy. He's from Connecticut. He had his son there, his wife there. You know, Derek has been advised perfectly through his whole career, from mom and dad down and whoever else he confides in, to do the right thing. And there's people here who want to see him play, and it's different. The era, it's different. There's a responsibility to the great players, and as he got the Commissioner's Award from Commissioner Selig, what an ambassador he's been to this sport, not just to Yankee fans, to everybody. You see how people adore him.
And you know what? Even if he goes 0 for 8 in the last 2 games, it doesn't erase what happened on Thursday night at Yankee Stadium. That will be the end of the movie, if there ever is a movie. It's not going to be a ground out to second base in the 9th inning on Sunday. That will be the end of the movie. And in 10 years, they'll probably forget that there was a series after that. And knowing Derek Jeter, maybe he does something special on Sunday to further burnish the fairy tale. Capuano, economical with 88 pitches. Wednesday night, Cicchini had his first career home run. And he has a 4-game hitting streak, but he's 0 for 2 tonight.
Well, the way Will Middlebrooks has kind of played himself out of not being that viewed as for sure the future third baseman of the Red Sox. Aaron Cicchini's well liked in this organization.
Swing and a miss. He's down on strikes.
Just to kind of follow up, Michael, on your point about Jeter, just looking around at the crowd tonight. I mean, it is a solid sold-out crowd as Girardi's going to come out and probably make a pitching change. And they're kind of waiting for the star, right?
You would think so. I mean, it's the last place Red Sox team. Obviously, they're here to see Derek Jeter. They'll have to wait till tomorrow as Chris Capuano leaves after a very strong 6 2/3, and Girardi goes to the bullpen. Third innings, allowed 1 run, was not earned, 4 hits, did not walk a batter, 5 strikeouts, 91 pitches, and that's solid right there.
Good start. And you know what, David, as you've been saying, look, there's decisions to be made for this Yankee team through the winter, and I think Chris Capuano has shown to this organization, Joe Girardi, Larry Rothschild, the front office, that, hey, I could pitch here.
He did a good job for the Yankees. He really did. Kept him in just about every start that he had, and I could definitely see him part of the mix next year.
High fly ball, deep left, off the bat of Castillo. See ya! A home run on the first pitch from Sean Kelly. He is having a rough go of it of late, and the Yankees now lead 3-2. What has happened to Sean Kelly of late? The big home run he gave up to Jose Bautista. And now this.
You know what? He's a fastball slider guy, and that's a hanging slider right down the middle. And Rusney Castillo, the big signing, the Cuban defector, over the Green Monster.
And there's a strike to Brents.
That's into the parking lot there.
It's kind of the mystery of the Cuban ball players, right? I mean, you don't really know a lot about them. You're relying on scouting reports that are sketchy in Cuba. They defect. They get declared free agents. They come over and they work out for teams, hit some home runs like that during the tryouts, and you take a chance. And he's in the big leagues. I mean, this is straight from Cuba. He played in a couple minor league games, and now here he is playing center field for the Red Sox. I mean, it's almost mystical.
High fly ball, left field. Young back, track, and he makes the play in front of the monster for the final out of the 7th. But the Red Sox creep closer. Castillo with a home run off of Sean Kelly. Let's go to the 8th. Yankees, brought to you by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. Yankees have 6 hits. Yuri Perez with 1 scored a run. Francisco Cervelli with a good night, 2 for 3, an RBI and a run scored. Chris Young a hit. John Ryan Murphy a double and a run scored. Austin Romine a single as well. Ribby on a sac fly for Zealous Wheeler. And that's how the Yankees have their 3 runs to the Red Sox 2. Heath Hembree takes over for the Red Sox here in the 8th inning. This will be a 6th game, 8 innings, 10 hits, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. Opponents hitting .313 against Heath. He came from San Francisco in the Jake Peavy deal. And he'll face John Ryan Murphy and Austin Romine and Brendan Ryan. Crowd hoping to get a glance of Derek Jeter chanting Derek Jeter. Derek's been sitting on that bench on the top step of the Yankee dugout, but has not popped his head out to wave to the crowd.
I think they want him to get an AB.
I don't think that's going to happen. Not tonight. He even said he had a press conference today at 6 o'clock, an hour before the game. He said maybe had an hour of sleep. Now just think about any of you out there watching and the 3 of us, anything good that happens in your life or something exciting, you have a hard time sleeping. We're all pumped up and excited. Just times that by a million what happened to him yesterday. And how do you fall asleep? He's probably replaying that in his head and kind of exhausted, I'm sure. I'm sure if the game meant something, he'd be in there, but the game might not have played out that way. You know, if there's any bright side, and the way the Yankees run their business, it's not a bright side, but if there's any bright side to not making the playoffs 2 years in a row, Mariano would not have played out that way if that game meant something. There's just no way. They wouldn't take him out in the middle of an inning. And in all likelihood, Derek would not have played out that way either. So that's the bright side of not making the playoffs. But 2 years in a row, that's something the Yankees want to change.
Always look on the bright side of life, right?
Yeah.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Is that Springsteen?
Monty Python.
Crowd getting louder.
Uh-oh, he's starting to stretch a little.
One of the cool things that Derek said yesterday, both on the field to Meredith Morakovitz and then afterward in the press conference, people were chanting, "Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Derek." And he said, "What are they thanking me for? I'm just doing my job." But a lot of people thank employees for a job well done. Not that he's the fans' employee, but certainly they enjoy him doing his job.
I think that's one of the greatest compliments you can get from fans, especially after you're out of the game a few years, and they just come up and say, thank you for the years. Thank you for the memories. You know, my grandfather and I went to a game and watched that game you played. Thank you. Nothing better for a player, especially once you're retired.
John Ryan Murphy tied up on that pitch up and in. Now this is more like the Derek Jeter we all know. Yesterday, and we talked about it on the radio show, David, that was a side of Derek Jeter we have never seen. Now he didn't crack, but boy, you could see some split in the dish because he was about to go, and he looked like he was really hanging on there for a moment.
I think that's why he brought the towel out with him as he did the last little lap. You know, and he kept it up near his face, and you know, in case he did break down. And he was close.
Now we were watching him warming up before the game. I mean, maybe we were looking at him a little bit more than we would have. A fly ball to right field to retire Romine. When he backs up down the right field line and long tosses, and he looked like he was straining. He looked like he was really trying to keep it together. He had these deep exhales and inhales, and that just is not Derek. It's kind of fun for him to warm up, but it looked like he was laboring yesterday.
Very much, Michael. You picked up on that early in the broadcast as well. You know, it was an extremely difficult homestand for him, much less just that final game. Got an update for you, Michael.
Okay. Oh, might have to wait.
Yep.
Fly ball left field.
Just a tease. Just a little tease.
2-out tease. We've got to see what David's update could be. It could be anything. Another reason to stay right here. Yankees lead 3-2. Verizon Fios game wrap-up. We'll have a breakdown of tonight's action plus news and more from the clubhouse. The Verizon Fios game wrap-up tonight on My 9, followed by chasing New Jersey. Well, now as we move along here in the bottom of the 8th inning, we'll also take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Breaking news from David Cohn.
Well, this is right on cue. That right there. See that Cleveland 1-0 game?
Yeah.
We talked about the AL Cy Young race, and my pick, Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber had 11 strikeouts, and he had a little help in the 9th inning. He went over 8 innings. 8 innings exactly, 5 hits, 11 strikeouts.
No-hitter?
Not a no-hitter. He gave up 5 hits, but ended up in a 1-0 game. But he had 11 Ks, as I said, and that is the 11th time he's had double-digit Ks this year. That's the most in Cleveland's franchise history since Sudden Sam McDowell did it in 1968. He had 13 double-digit strikeout games.
Now, if my memory serves me correct and my math is right, he was at 258 earlier, so now he's at 269.
Yes.
That's a big strikeout total.
Huge strikeout year for Corey Kluber, who arguably and by any metrics had maybe the best pitcher's year in the American League. Should get major consideration for the AL Cy Young.
He's 18-9 now, and his ERA was lowered to 2.44 as the Indians are trying to hang in there. Not likely, though. New pitcher for the Yankees is Adam Warren, and Jamal Weeks pinch hitting for Ryan LaBarnway.
And Corey Kluber, a big reason why the Indians stayed in the race as long as they did.
Well, when the Orioles were in town at Yankee Stadium, Buck Showalter said, the managers have to vote for Manager of the Year. Can't vote for themselves. And he said, I voted for Terry Francona. He said, Terry Francona's done an unbelievable job. And I think a lot of people in baseball feel that way because the Indians don't really have a great team, but they have hung in there the entire season as weeks, swings and misses. I mean, they've had injuries. They lost Nick Swisher, who gave them no production whatsoever.
Trade away Justin Masterson.
And Asdrubal Cabrera.
And still in it. Well, now they're eliminated.
Are they eliminated?
Yeah. 83 and 76.
No, I don't think that. No, they're still. I mean, they had a number of 1 today, so they won. If Kansas City or Oakland win today, then they would be eliminated.
I think it's more the second wild card team there. I think Kansas City's ahead, so Oakland is the second wild card team.
All right. Daniel Nava pinch hitting.
As we see there, Oakland is currently winning 3-1 in the 5th at Texas, as we saw on the scoreboard, and Kansas City's up 3-0 over the White Sox.
Now, a little mini race that might not mean anything to anybody. The Toronto Blue Jays have started playing a lot better, and they are leading the Orioles 4-2 in the 8th inning, and the Yankees hold a slim 1-game lead over the Blue Jays for second place in the East. It's just a visual. It's how it's perceived. Do you want to finish second or third? But does that really matter? When you look at the Red Sox, they're sitting at the bottom of the American League East. They won the World Series last year, and the year before that, they were at the bottom of the American League East. So I guess if you're not going to make the playoffs, does it really matter where you finish? As Nava swings and misses, Warren looks like, I don't know if you agree, Dave, he's got that second win this season.
No doubt about it. And he talks about a little mechanical adjustment that he's made. Joe Girardi talks about a two-seamer that he's incorporated. But without a doubt, his stuff and confidence on the mound really looks good finishing this season. Regardless, his body of work for the Yankees over the last 2 years has been nothing short of solid.
Yes.
This guy's a pitcher. It's a lot of value. At once, I thought he's probably better off as a starter out because he's got 4 pitches and a really good changeup to neutralize left-handed batters.
I mean, there could be a big role for him next year. The Yankees have to make a decision. Do you bring back David Robertson? So even if you don't want to sign him to a long-term deal, what happens if you offer him a qualifying offer? He might take it. Qualifying offer this year could be between $14 and $15 million. This way you get a draft pick if somebody signs you as a free agent. But the way the market goes now, I don't think anybody's offering a closer $14 or $15 million, even one as good as Robertson. He might take that one-year deal. So that's a tough call for the Yankees. Do you do that and risk it? And then if he does come back, I guess it's not the worst thing to have him on a one-year deal. But then you have a second year of Betances setting up rather than closing. But if Betances is the closer next year, then Warren could be your setup guy.
Look, I think David Robertson would command more than a one-year deal on the free market.
At $15 million a year?
Well, maybe not the AAV of $15 million, but whether it's a 3-year at 40 or...
If you could get 3 years, if you're David Robertson at $30 million, or 1 year at 15, what would you take?
Depends. I mean, if Detroit's going to offer him 3 years at less average annual value, you know, there's some security there too. So 3 years between 30 and 40 million, just for argument's sake.
Right.
I think, you know, you probably take that.
That one is driven out to right center. Uriel Perez is there, and he makes a play for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning. We're going to go to the 9th here at Fenway Park. Yankees lead the Red Sox 3-2. is brought to you in part by Time Warner Cable. TV, internet, and phone from Time Warner Cable, 1-855-1-TWC. By Infinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Well, we go to the ninth inning. Yankees holding on to a 3-2 advantage. Hembree in for his second inning of work. Tied the Yankees in order in the eighth. And the Jeter chants again here at Fenway Park. Fly ball, right field. Daniel Nava just came in after pinch hitting. We'll put it away for the first out.
That was it, Michael. They're booing the on-deck circle. As Jose Perella got out of the dugout, the chance from Jeter to booing.
Now, Jose Perella is the guy who led off the bottom of the ninth inning with that single. Then they pinch ran the guy at the plate, Antoine Richardson, for him. Now, Antoine Richardson has great speed, but Brett Gardner bunted him over. So he's at second base with, he bunted him over. He's at second base with Jeter up. And while he's at second base, Joe Girardi revealed yesterday he put the red light on him. He did not want him to steal third. Because if he steals third, then the managerial play there is to walk Jeter and McCann to set up the bases loaded double play. So Girardi wanted to stop that, any chance of that happening, and felt Richardson could score from second on a single, which he did. He also scored on a guy with a very good arm and had a great amount of assists in Nick Markakis. So Girardi played a role in that. Crowd of 37,605 here at Fenway. Tomorrow's game, an afternoon game, 1 o'clock start here at Fenway, will be on our sister station, Fox 5. And then Sunday's game, the final game of the year on Yes. 2-2 on Richardson. You know, this conspiracy theorists were out and said, well, why wouldn't Buck walk Jeter? Well, if you're sitting there and that was a game that the manager walks Jeter, would you think that that was a good job to walk a .253 hitter to pitch to a guy who could hit the ball out and end the game with Brian McCann? There's a base hit to right field for Antoine Richardson,
who has been one of the bright spots offensively in September for the Yankees and Brian McCann.
And they keep booing every time another person walks out of the dugout. This time it's Yuri Perez. Here is Perella, who started off that bottom of the ninth inning with the single, as we mentioned. Richardson, a threat to steal. Swing and a miss by Perella. Perella tonight is 0 for 4. Grounded to short. Let's see if they turn two. There's one. There's two. Doubling up the speedy Perella, 6-4-3. And Joe Girardi is coming out to see if that play at first was in fact correct.
I'll tell you, you talk about bang bang. We'll get a good look right here.
I think he's out.
One more click. Yeah.
And the Yankees think he's out, as Joe Girardi will head back to the dugout. Sorry, Al, we didn't have that exciting moment. Double play. We'll be back at the bottom of the ninth. Game wrap-up. We'll have a breakdown of tonight's action, plus news and more from the clubhouse. The Verizon Fios game wrap-up tonight on My 9, followed by Chasing New Jersey. Well, the Yankees bring in David Robertson. Yesterday he gave up those 2 booming home runs in the 9th inning, which, as we mentioned earlier, it's the greatest blown save in the history of baseball because it set up Derek Jeter's dramatics in the bottom of the 9th inning. But David would like to return right now to normalcy. He's blown 5 saves this year. He's had a very, very good season. 94 strikeouts in 63 and a third innings pitched. And he will face Xander Bogaerts in the bottom of the 9th. And a strike. Yankees 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error. The Red Sox 2 5-1. A base hit. They had Wheeler close to the line to guard against the double, so Bogaerts leads off with the single here in the 9th.
Good curveball from Robertson. Kind of leaves it on the inner half as you see Bogaerts just drops the head of the bat and finds the hole.
He's a threat to go, and Cespedes is a threat to end the game with 1 swing. Cespedes sitting at 98 runs batted in. Those are his numbers combined with the A's and the Red Sox. Breaking ball strike. The base hit by Bogaerts, the 6th for Boston. There's another strike.
It's that big 12-6 curveball that David Robertson features. Watch this here. You see Cespedes, good hitter. Watch him lock up. Watch the hitter. Peels back, and this is going to be a big break. Wants to pull the trigger. Cannot. 2 curveballs in a row. Good pitch. They have a chance to expand here. You have at least 1, if not 2 pitches. Pitcher's pitch. Something out of the zone. Tease a hitter. Especially a guy like Cespedes who'll swing at pitches that aren't in the zone.
There goes Bogaerts to throw to second. Oh, the throw was dropped, but they still called him out. There's going to be an argument by John Farrell. Larry Vanover still called him out.
Wow. Well, live, that did not look like Brennan Ryan was transferring the ball.
A great recovery here as the ball bounds away, but doesn't get away as he grabs it right on and just fires it right to second on a short hop. Well, that's close. I mean, the tag was there. The ball beat him. After the tag.
And now they changed the call. The 4 umpires got together. I think they made the right call.
I think it is the right call because the slide kind of jarred the ball loose from the glove. So it wasn't a transfer. As Vanover originally called it a transfer, taking the ball out of the glove. There was never a taking the ball out of the glove. There's just the slide knocking the ball loose.
Yeah, if you see the position that Larry Vanover's in, Jose Pirela, and live, in his judgment, he thought it was a transfer. It was not. This is the right call.
Nice recovery there from John Ryan Murphy behind home plate, though, and a decent throw to second base.
All right, so the tying run now is in scoring position. And the count 1-2 on Cespedes. Fastball inside.
Good pitch after 3 curveballs in a row, 2 in the strike zone. And then the bounce curveball prior to this pitch here. You got a guy looking, seeing, feeling curveball, and now you stand him up.
Diving. Caught him diving.
Count 3-2.
Well, clearly with the amount of curveballs that David Robertson's throwing, he feels that's the pitch to get out Cespedes. Of the 5 pitches, 4 of them were curveballs. Does he throw it again?
Swing and a miss. Got him with the fastball, 1 away, big out.
And not only fastball, David, I mean the location, this is perfect. After all those curveballs, inside fastball, can't do anything with it.
It's like an underwater hack from Cespedes. Probably thinking curveball, and you see just a half-hearted, like swinging a baseball bat underwater. Clearly beat.
That'll bring up Alan Craig. They're going to give Pirela an E4 on the play, allowing Bogaerts to reach second because he dropped the ball on a throw that should have gotten him. Fastball up and in.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
That's a harsh error right there.
He didn't drop the ball. The ball was jarred loose.
1-1. Craig came over from the Cardinals in the John Lackey deal and hitting 131 with the Red Sox, a home run and 2 runs batted in. One. Fastball strike in the inside corner, 1-2.
Let's kind of see that late movement from Robertson as the ball cutting towards the inside corner. I think an excellent job by John Ryan Murphy framing that pitch.
Swing and a miss. The Red Sox down to their final out.
Just such textbook right there, really. David Robertson, between the fastball curveball combination, previous pitch, the fastball painted inside corner, perfect location. See Alan Craig just flailing at that curveball, that good 12-6 break. Nice pitch.
And here comes Larry Rothschild, pretty much for a scouting report on Cicchini. Now you've got a lefty up and a righty on deck. I don't think you put the winning run on, do you?
No, I hated these kind of visits, especially with a closer. Robertson pitches to his strengths. Excuse me, Michael. Robertson pitches to his strengths. It's not about pitching to the weaknesses of the hitter here. And we've seen that with Robertson before, kind of give a glare in the dugout when he's been visited in the middle of an inning. So this disrupts the momentum of the inning, in my opinion. Robertson, after a big strikeout right there, he doesn't need to be told anything here. He doesn't need a scouting report.
Swing and a miss. So what you're saying, Dave, is no matter what this kid's strengths are, Robertson's still going to pitch the way Robertson pitches.
Yeah, Robertson's a two-pitch pitcher. It's fastball, curveball. You know, maybe that visit was about throwing a first-pitch curveball there, is maybe because maybe this guy has a reputation for being a first-pitch fastball hitter. But I don't like disrupting the momentum of the inning.
Fastball away, 1-1.
In other words, Michael, you're coming off of a confident at bat, and now you're going to go out there and put a negative thought into his mind as far as don't do this with this hitter, or this strength of this hitter is this. Then you're putting the pitcher in a defensive mode, pitching to the hitter's weaknesses as opposed to your strengths as a pitcher.
1-1. Sox down to their final strike.
And a lot of that depends on the personality of your pitcher, too, as well. Robertson, one pitch away from finishing this one off.
One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Yankees up 3-2. Runner at second. The 1-2. Checks the swing. Did he go? Did he go? No, he did not. Said Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, it's got to be clear and very obvious.
Did he break the plane?
From that angle, it looked like. Oh, here, we get a better look right here.
No, he did not.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at second. Yankees up 3-2. Robertson deals. Full count. And the payoff. Fly ball left field. Young is there and makes the play as the Yankees win 3-2. So Robertson comes on the night after he blows the save. nails this one as Derek Jeter just a spectator tonight before he gets back in the lineup tomorrow. And the Yankees, with a bunch of reserves and youngsters playing, win the first game of the final series of the year by a score of 3-2. We have a lot